All right, let's talk about corporate ethics now, because it's something that apparently this country, or many will say this country, Wall Street, is lacking. J.A. Rodriguez is here with us right now. Where do we stand these days? Is it getting better? I mean, after all this, we're slowly inching our way out of the recession. Are you starting to see corporate ethics maybe come back as well?
Well, what I think what's happening is, we need to come back down to the roots as to what investors are waiting for, what they're looking at in terms of what's important to them, and then how does that translate into corporate behavior? A lot of what's happening is that is not happening, and so we have a situation where the Wall Street is imposing upon the businesses certain financial requirements without the other part of it, without the stewardship part of it, without the other part that you really can't see, but also represents a significant risk to that investor. So I believe we are getting better, although, there are quite a few companies out there that are taking that risk, and which is unfortunate.
Someone on the chat said that corporate ethics was an oxymoron. That is the way it is perceived these days. What does Wall Street, corporate America, have to do to drop that? Because it's going to take a lot.
Yeah, I don't know that it is an oxymoron. It's true and tried. I mean, you got to have ethics as your foundation, as your base. And this is what you've got to do. You not only have to focus on your financial performance as a company, you've got to take a look at this thing from a totality point of view, and you've got to look at customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction. You got to take a look at it from an overall stewardship type of an environment and type of an approach in order for this thing to work. So corporate ethics, corporate performance, corporate behavior is not something that is bygone. It is something that needs to be happening now. It is something that is essential in order to stay in business. It is something that I believe that investors should demand as part of the return on investment capital, as part of the working terms, as part of all the financial criteria that we're used to.
But someone just wrote, and Steve May, I'm going to shout out to you, you can't buy ethics. And many companies don't get that. And that's very true. You know what? You can't just buy me and say, ooh, I'm going to have a big run in the park for breast cancer, and that makes me this fabulous philanthropic company. Or, ooh, I'm going to give you a pizza party because I care so much about my employees. That doesn't do it.
No, it doesn't do it. You cannot buy ethics. Ethics starts with a culture that's foundationally based. It starts with integrity. It starts with a promise to be the best and do it in an ethical way. If you focus specifically on the finances, which is typically where we find the issues, companies focus only on the finances and not on the rest of the corporate responsibilities. That causes an imbalance in the model. And when you have an imbalance in the model, then you have tendencies that are not conducive to business, and they are not appreciated by the stockholders.
Okay, so let's talk about, though, the way Wall Street works. I mean, Wall Street is focused on financial performance, right? So Absolutely. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and if it is ethical or unethical, maybe that's not part of the equation.
Well, that's the problem. It's not part of the equation. And you are correct, it isn't, and it should be. Wall Street should behave this way. It should take a look at the financials. It should take a look at what else the organization is performing, it's doing. How the business is being conducted is just as important as the business itself. As soon as Wall Street becomes commensurate with holding people accountable for their investments. For example, when I buy stock, I'm buying ownership into that particular company, right? Mm-hmm. So if I own that company and that company behaves in a way that's not ethical or it doesn't fall along the integrity lines, then I should be held accountable as well because I am part owner. Until that happens, then the likelihood that companies are going to switch their tune is going to be very low. And I got to tell you, there are some very great companies that have figured out a perfect balance between financial performance and stewardship.
Like what? Like who? Can you name a few good ones?
Yeah, I would say, if you look at Johnson & Johnson, the recalls, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do the right thing. And if you have a product that was tainted, or if you have a product that's not going to affect, that's going to affect the population in general, then you own up to it and you make it happen and you make it change. I was a very high critic of BP recently because of everything that's happening. But BP, in my opinion, is starting to do the right thing now. They didn't do the right thing before, but now they're starting to do the right thing. They're starting to realize that production is not the end. The end is production in conjunction with the stewardships that they have to follow in terms of being a great corporate citizen.
You know, though, it seems so logical, right? And somehow it gets lost along the way. And I want to be like totally Puritan here and say it starts at home. It starts with the way you are raised. And if you're raised to be an ethical person, you hope that that translates along the way. But something happens, and we've seen it. They make movies out of it. Gordon Gekko will be the first to tell you that ethics can go to pot when it comes to business, and somehow that gets translated and completely overrun by the guy who tries to do good.
Oh, no, absolutely. You know, an organization is really an entity. The entity is made up of quite a few identities in itself. It's almost like multiple personalities. And so what happens is that you get groupthink. And so what happens is that the external expectations, especially Wall Street, when they're imposed into an organization, then the internal organization tends to react to that. And they tend to forget that there is a base, there is a way to actually perform business in a way that's ethical, that's with high integrity, and that's going to still meet the bill, satisfy their customers, and also meet their commitments. You know, do what you say what you do.
Yeah.
That part of it will be met as well.
And unfortunately, you see that a lot more in small business because these are mom and pop shops that many times they're immigrants. They do the right thing. They're not looking to screw you. They just want to make you happy because then you come back. And that's been like a little common theme on this chat that's been going on simultaneously while we're talking. You do right by me, I'll come back. I will patronize you again. You know, you got a client for life if you do right by me. If you don't, I'm gonzo.
You know, you hit it right on the nail. It's not the problem. It's how you go about fixing the problem. If everybody has problems, every organization has a problem, but how you go about fixing that problem, it makes a big, big difference whether you as a client will come back or even as an investor if you're gonna take a chance at a particular company.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. And perfect example, you noted, Johnson & Johnson handled Tylenol, pulled it off the shelf, fixed it. Toyota, on the other hand, we couldn't figure out what the heck was going on, and Toyota sales have not picked up since. J.A. Rodriguez, thank you so much. You have sparked quite a conversation on our boards. Corporate ethics consultant. I mean, this is stuff we can talk about all day. And like I said, I think it starts at home, but I'm Laura Ingalls, so what do I know? Come back again soon, sir.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. All right.